Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This drama contains adult language and partial nudity. Viewer discretion is advised.
You are listening to the Drunk Sports Podcast, talking sports, current events, guy stuff, and everything in between. Now open up a cold one and drink along, because they're here.
You can buy me a drink.
We're all drunk.
Hello, and welcome, drunk dudes and dolls and drunk sports pod turds, to a very throwback edition of the Drunk Sports Podcast, as Colby Sapp is on Drunk Sports assignment tonight. So I am IndyCar Tim, and I'm going way back with this one. And I'm joined by my favorite co-host in the whole world.
Hey, must still your favorite, Tim, really?
My favorite co-host forever and ever, Big Red.
Big Red, baby.
Big Red.
Give it to me, Lance. Give it to me, Lance. Push. Give it to me, Lance.
So my mother's going to be sore for the next week.
And we haven't heard that in a while, have we?
No, have not. So what's been going on, Bubba?
I'm just trying to run this little show and keep this little company afloat while you're up there playing golf and snow skiing every day.
Well, I'm not snow skiing. There's not quite enough of that on the ground. It's too damn cold, for one. I think today the high was, I don't know, what was it? 27. It's 16 right now.
Ouch.
So
should have done a show outside on the patio.
Well, yeah, I could have probably taken my shirt off and been like some of the idiots at the Buffalo game and those other games that everybody just decides to take the shirt off, and I just still don't understand that. But
why are there so many idiots who watch football games with their shirts off? I don't get it.
It's one way to get on TV.
I mean, I take my shirt off on the show sometimes, but it's my show. I can do whatever I want.
And you're inside.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a show. We used to do the show outside.
We did, and it would get cool and breezy, and we would dodge beer cans, and that's when we finally had to put the fence up in front of us.
Yeah, we were throwing beer cans at each other sometimes.
Beer cans and wadded up run sheets.
So for those of you that are new to the show, you won't remember the old days when it was just me and Big Red on top of the trash can in the garage at Studio 69 at Casa Not So Grande, how this thing all started.
That's right, baby, on Ringtail Drive. That was, still got that picture. We need to have that picture like framed and hung in the studio.
Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I got it on my phone somewhere or somewhere on the Facebook. And
it's actually kind of a neat looking, it's a portrait because the equipment, the little bit of equipment that we had there was really in focus, and everything else was kind of blurred out, and you can still see the flags hanging in the background and everything else, but you can also see the green trash can that it's sitting on top of.
It's before we were doing video, of all things.
Yeah. Well, but it's also right after we got through chasing the dogs down the street.
Yeah, we used to have to stop the show to go chase the dogs that got out of the garage. Such Green Acres radio back then, man. So Green Acres radio. Well, along the theme of Green Acres radio, we got a great show for everybody, as we normally do. Of course, we're going to go around the Cowboys and talk about some Eagles, talk about Dak. There's a lot of people out there saying, man, Dak just had the game of his life. He played the best game he possibly could have. I'm not one of those people, Big Red. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Talk about the defensive struggles of the Cowboys and which team really is the best team in the NFC. I don't care about records. Throw records out the window. Throw injuries out the window. We'll talk about who the best team in the NFC East is. Then we'll go over the good, bad, and the ugly celebrity birthdays with the Drunk Sports Twist. And then something near and dear to your heart, Big Red. We're going to say goodbye to Franco Harris. No, he wasn't a Cowboy, and yes, he was a Steeler in the 70s, but good God, if there was a Steeler I could love, it was Franco.
Yeah, him and Rocky that was a hell of a backfield duo. So
that was kind of the Tony Dorsett and Herschel Walker of the 70s, even though we didn't have them very long here in Dallas.
Well, then they weren't together.
Yeah, they were.
Well,
we had them at the same time for a little while before Herschel went off to Minnesota. Actually, before Tony went to Denver is when that got split up in '87. Yeah. And then the second hour, we're going to go around the NFL, our Christmas edition, we got to talk about the Denver Rams game. Hackett gets canned. We're going to talk about Carolina and Detroit. What the hell's happening to Detroit? Giants, Minnesota, Cincinnati, New England. And then we're going to pose the question to everybody. Could you live on a cruise ship? Married, single, whatever your situation is, could you live full time on a cruise ship? Because someone's doing that. And
Yes,
we
I
got to talk
could.
about it because I feel
Yes, I
like,
could.
and I've never been on a cruise in my whole life, and I don't really have any desire to go on a cruise because I still think every ship sinks every time it goes out.
And I was that way exactly until like 3 years ago, about just a few days ago is when we would have gotten off in Galveston, and I had never been on a cruise, and Stacy'd been after me about that for forever, and so we finally did it. And dude, I can't wait to get on another one. So we need to plan a show cruise.
I think I'm out, man. I don't know. Unless some hot chick comes along and tries to talk me into it and pays for it. I'm still afraid of icebergs.
On the boat. There's plenty of them on the boat, and there's no icebergs in the Caribbean. So
that's what they thought about the Atlantic at one time too. They thought that. Pretty sure when the Titanic floated right into the iceberg, they didn't think that was possible. Iceberg dead ahead. Good day, mate. So yeah, I'm noticing. So we're gonna talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Like anyone can even know that. We'll talk about that. And then we may or may not do news and notes. Colby's not here, and I don't know if I can do it justice. Plus, I didn't do any homework for news and notes, so I don't really have anything for it yet. But Big Red, let's get into some of this.
Let's go, Cowboys! Let's go, Cowboys!
And now it's time for Around the Cowboys, where we discuss America's team. Brought to you by the Drunk Sports Podcast.
Let's kick it off, y'all. It's that time again. The news.
So Cowboys defeated Eagles on Saturday. What was the score? I don't remember what the damn score was.
40-34,
right?
34, yeah, just outside of our 5.5.
Of course.
I lost another game by a hook.
Man, you're getting really good at that. You should bet on the hook.
I think maybe everybody should just bet against me and just fade my bets, and you'll win more than you lose.
I might start doing that, man. That's a good idea.
Why not?
I mean, I'm already leading you.
Well, I know you would be unreachable if you bet opposite of me.
I'm already unreachable, Big Red. Unreachable? I'm unreachable too.
How's that?
I've had too many of these already.
So are you 20 points ahead of me?
Not yet. I was 10 points ahead of you going into the week. And of course, we will do our Drunk Sports picks and review the picks for week 17 on Wednesday around 8:20 Central is normally when we do that. But I had a 10-point lead going into the week. You and I are on the struggle bus this week, though. We've only got one game left, which means two points. You're only at 2 and I'm only at 3.
Okay. So
he's like at 7 already, though.
I'm at worst 13 behind with 2 weeks to go.
There's time.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So Big Red, did you get to watch Cowboy Eagle?
Did sit right here at the corner of the bar where I always sit during the game and screamed at TV and buried my head and listened to all the shit talk that everybody could put on me for 3 hours.
And what was your opinion of not just the Cowboys' performance, but one Dakota Rain Prescott?
We spoke about that briefly earlier, and I, there were some really good points, but then there were still those flashes of, I don't know, mediocrity or idiocracy, or I hadn't been able to put my finger on it this year, but there's just some points during the game that he's off and still makes those decisions that he shouldn't make. Maybe is he trying too hard to make a play every play, everything, and trying to do
right,
trying to change the game himself instead of relying on what's working. And one thing I want to bring up, and I don't remember them doing it during the Eagles game, but something that I've seen every game this year where they have gone up tempo, they've been unstoppable up tempo.
Mhm.
So why haven't they done that? That's my question. If I was able to ask Kellen Moore or McCarthy, why don't you stay up tempo? Why isn't up tempo the way you go? Because when they're that way, they have been unstoppable. And I don't know, this organization, this coaching staff, this play calling, it's baffling, and it hurts my head, and I'm just I don't know anything else to say about it.
So yeah, play calling is always in question for me with this team, and I'm still uncertain who's calling plays. I know that Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator. He traditionally called plays, but I kind of feel like at some point in the season they went away from that. Because it looked like there was a philosophical change at one point, and I can't put my finger on what week it was.
Are they calling up to the owner's booth and asking Jerry, is this okay? Can we run this?
Man, I don't know, but it's either I swear there was a point when McCarthy got involved and was either approving plays or he was helping out with the plays or giving more like, hey, in this situation, it's got to be one of these.
How do you have time to do that? I mean, you have a play clock. You have to get plays in.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, can I run this? Is this okay? I mean, you giving him multiple choices and saying A, B, or C, and he says D, and what?
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Either way, I'm done with whoever's calling plays because if it's Kellen Moore, he will show flashes of brilliance about 5 times a game, and the rest of the game, it's almost looks like Jason Garrett's calling plays. It's bad to me. Yeah. It just, for instance, the Cowboys ran 72 plays against the Eagles on Saturday. And I swear 65 of those plays, I was scratching my head. And not just the play call, but the timing of the play call. They open Dak up and they let him throw and throw and throw, and he gets into a rhythm, and then they decide to run 7 plays in a row.
Yep.
And it boggles my mind. If you're going to let Dak throw the ball, then let him throw the ball. And I'll tell you something else. I would like to know how involved Dak is in game planning, and I would like to know how involved Dak is in play calling. Does he have the ability? I mean, we all know he can audible, but does he have the ability? Some quarterbacks go up there, they'll call in, the offensive coordinator will call in 3 plays. Pick best for the team.
Right.
When you get to the line of scrimmage based on how they're lined up.
Yep.
I wonder if they do stuff like that with Dak and how much he's involved in that. It just, man, I may need to make a call, find stuff like that. I need to call Broadus, get him involved in this for me, or Fish or somebody.
If I remember back when we were in the garage, we always questioned that, and that was one of the things that we always talked about whenever, it was a contract decision, it was contract year, and I mean, was he really smart enough to make those decisions? And everybody says that he is, but I mean, again, I think it comes down to whenever Dak is trying to do too much.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. It seems like it's always frustrating watching the Cowboys and the amount of shit that I take from, because there's a lot of different fans up here. They're not just Chiefs fans. I got Detroit fans, I got Chicago fans, I've got fucking Minnesota fans, and they're all over the place, and they're just all ribbing me, and it's all in good fun. But by God, it gets old, it gets tiresome, and it's hard, and I don't have those answers, and I wish somebody would give them to me.
It makes it not fun to watch sometimes, I'll be real honest. And I'm even going back to the Jason Garrett and the Dave Campo days and the Chan Gailey at least had some success, but the Eagles go up 7-0 or 3-0 to start the game. Cowboys allowed almost a 4-minute drive, 68 yards in 7 plays for a field goal.
Yep.
And then Dak's very first play from scrimmage in the game, that ridiculous pick 6. I mean, that was a ridiculous throw.
All right. So first, who was the defensive end that did that? Was that Sweat that did that? Who was it that had the pick 6 for the Eagles?
Yeah, it was Sweat, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, Josh Sweat. 42 yards. It was.
But an incredible athletic play by him. For one, he was right in front of Dak. But how does Dak not just float it up over him? But for Dak to put something on it, and for a man of that size and that athletic ability to go up, put both hands up, and put get both hands on the ball and to be able to bring it down, it was crazy. So I don't know, hell of a play by him, bad thought process by Dak. And the Cowboys were down 10-0 right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's just that kind of set the tone for me, I think, as far as my expectations for Dak for the rest of the game. And I know he had some are saying the game of his life. He had a good game, and I know he proceeded to go 16 in a row after he threw that interception, which, great. That's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, he was mid 70s on completion percentage, multiple touchdowns, had that one bad interception, but that's, to me, and maybe, you and I are both, it took you a long time to come to my camp with that, but I think he tries to do too much. He's got a ton of weapons around him. They need to get CD involved earlier and more often. And
they did that on Saturday.
Finally,
the dude that was nearing 100 yards at the half.
Yeah. So Pollard looks good. Zeke is almost. I don't want to say he's back to that real young Zeke, but they're punishing. It's the tandem that we want. We've wanted for a long time, right. And the thing about it is somebody's got to go, bro. I don't know how they afford to pay.
Well, they're both gonna go. Neither one of them will be back next year, I don't think. I think they're both gone, and they're gonna go draft a running back in the second or third round. And I promise he will have the same production that both of these guys have. It's not hard. It's not hard to be a running back in the NFL. I mean, I couldn't do it, but for those type of guys.
Well, you could carry the ball 2 or 3 times, maybe.
So let me throw this hypothetical at you. Big Red in his football glory days when he scored 4 touchdowns in one game for Polk High.
It wasn't Polk High. It was Early High, and it was
Early High.
Yeah.
That was an Al Bundy reference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think put up against NFL players of that day? So we're talking the late 80s, right?
Yep.
Could you go against the late 80s Cowboys are a bad point of reference because they sucked. Let's say that. Could you go up against? No. And we'll even say with the Cowboys offensive line back then. Could Big Red? No. Let me ask you this: could you get a first down with 4 rushing attempts? If the obviously the defense doesn't know you're going to run it 4 times, but if you had to run it 4 times against an NFL defense from your high school days,
so
with an NFL offensive line, could you do it?
1st and 10 from the 10, and we're going to run it 4 times. Could I score?
No. Could you get a first down?
No, absolutely not. No,
you couldn't go 10 yards and 4 carries.
Dude, I was 164. I was 6'3", 164 pounds. No. No, I could not. I'm not going to lie to anybody. No.
That's that'd be a great bit, though, wouldn't it?
I may lie to you off the air, but I'm not going to lie to you on the air. No.
That would be a great bit, though, man.
Well, I mean, we know people. Let's make some phone calls and let's suit Colby up and see if Colby, behind arguably one of the better offensive lines
you'd like to think
in the NFL, against one of the better defensive fronts in the NFL. Let's see if Colby can get 10 yards in 4 plays.
Man, that'd be awesome.
Because I ain't doing it.
I don't have connective tissue in my knees.
Well, I don't think I have connective tissue anywhere. I think it runs out my nose more often than anywhere else.
Gross. Every time you blow your nose, connective tissue comes out.
Yes. That's all the connective tissue. I think that's where all my connective tissue in my body has gone. It's just come out my nose.
So Dak threw the ball 35 times, one of his higher totals of the year, 27 completions, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that one horribly ridiculous pick that there was really no excuse for. I mean, there's...
Well, and I don't want to... devil's advocate to you, in his defense, I mean, he threw that, and when he threw it, he threw it with some zip. But for that dude to go that close to him and be able to get up and make that catch and to bring it down and do what he did with it, I mean, that was an incredible athletic play, and probably one of the better interceptions on the year. I mean, think about it.
Man,
That dude is huge. And he got up and got both hands on it and brought it in and took off with it. And Dak was the only one trying to run him down. And then
he got stiff armed.
Well, then finally just Dak says, fuck it. It ain't worth it.
I would too. All right, let me ask you this about the defense, Big Red. So after up until about a month ago, they had only allowed an average of about a little over 17 points a game.
Yep.
In the last, let's see, 4 games now? 34. These are how many points the opposing team has scored. 34, 34, 23. And that was Houston. Yeah, by the way, 34 against Jacksonville, 23 against Houston, and then, of course, the 54-19 debacle against Indianapolis. But this defense seems to be now slumping a little bit at the wrong time of the year.
Yeah, and
it gives me some concern.
Yeah, that was my next question. How scared are you? I mean,
terrified.
Yeah, is it all right? So guys are wearing down. I get it. It's late in the season. We're, a couple of weeks past our bye week, and has the Quinn defense been exposed? Do they finally know where to go and what to do? They're getting gouged on the run game is getting gouged, and Diggs is the secondary isn't terrible. What are they? The number 3 pass defense in the league, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody knows that at least twice a game, Diggs is going to try to cut a route and make a superstar play and make an interception.
Did it again.
But whenever he does that, there's nobody there, to back him up, and that's the scary part. Maybe that's a conversation he needs to have with a safety. This I know.
Yeah, but the safeties can only be where the play,
right.
The play call dictates where they're going to be. So,
and I don't know. But yeah, I'm nervous. I'm scared. It's because there's some really high powered offenses out there, and Cowboys have been exposed, and I'm a little worried about that myself.
Gardner Minshew had, and I've always said the dude's borderline NFL starter.
Absolutely.
Dude had a good game. Gardner Minshew, 24 of 40 for 355 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, and his 2 picks were pretty bad picks. But this is a guy that doesn't start regularly, so he's not in that same rhythm that a normal starter would be in. He did have all week to prepare. We know he missed Wednesday because he flew down to shut up. My bad. Stupid videos on ESPN. He missed the Wednesday practice, or it was just a walkthrough for Philly's practice to go to Michael Leach's funeral where he spoke. And we know that, of course, he played for Leach at Washington State.
Dude, would Minshew not be one of the coolest dudes to have on the team? Just personality wise. I mean, he's cool. He's slick back. I remember whenever they were at Washington State and he played for Leach, and just the hard time that he would give Mike Leach on post games, and the fun that they had together. That's a hell of a combination in Leach and Minshew. So yeah, Mike Leach will be sorely missed for a long time, and I think he already is. And I just think Minshew's a hell of a dude. So
yeah, I'd love to have him here as a backup. Hell, I might like to have him here as a starter.
He's absolutely probably the best backup in the league. Any argument with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go through the list, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that's better. There's going to be a lot of people that say Cooper Rush is good, but he ain't no Gardner Minshew.
No, but yeah, well, I think, yeah. So Cooper Rush, it was great for us, great for the Cowboys, and drove the bus well. I mean, got them through the games they needed to get them through. But I think, Gardner Minshew, again, just like you said, I think he's a starter for several teams in the league today, and would love to have him.
Dude could start in Houston. He could start in Atlanta. He could start in Washington. He could probably start in New England right now if you want to throw that out there.
Start in Indy.
He could start in Indianapolis. Probably, you know what? He could start in Denver.
Oh, we'll absolutely could start in Denver, and that's something that I want y'all to talk about, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to be here for the second hour.
Yeah.
But the firing of the coach, somebody had to go, and they can't get rid of Russell Wilson.
No.
So the coach had to be. The coach was the only cut to make. So
yeah, but
I feel
that was
just
as deserving as the Wilson cut would be.
Probably,
too.
but I mean,
it was way in over his head.
If there was a rule in the NFL that somebody could cut a check and make all that go away, they'd do it in a minute, because
he has a lot of
that
money.
Dude has got to go. I mean, he's awful. I think he's got zero give a shit. But we're talking about Cowboys, so
yeah. Well, let's we'll talk a little bit more about Cowboys on Wednesday, and when we preview who do they have this week? Titans, right? Titans on Thursday night. I believe it's Thursday night Titans. So we'll do that on Wednesday.
Titans minus Tannehill.
Yeah, he's done for the season, so that should be a win, but we've said that a lot of times this year. Let's get into something a little bit fun, Big Red. Colby's not here to do it, but I've got some names. Let's do some good, bad, and the ugly. As this is the Drunk Sports podcast version of our celebrity birthdays with a twist. And I have no clue where Colby gets his birthday lists. And to be honest, half the people he has, or more than half the people he has on his list, I have never heard of, because they're singers or they're young actors, or a lot of them are like TikTok stars. I actually have people that are like TikTok and social media stars on celebrity birthday lists, which boggles my mind. I don't get it. These people aren't famous. They didn't do anything, but I guess you get a lot of people on your follows or whatever, and you're considered famous. I don't understand. But I'm trying to stick with people I've heard of and who I know. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be familiar with who they are. So those of you listening, we go through the list. We each pick a good, a bad, and an ugly. If you're watching live, you're free to comment in the comment section on whatever platform you are following us on. If you listen to the recorded version of the show on whatever podcast app you listen on, shoot us a tweet. I'm at IndyCar Tim. The show is at Drunk Sports DFW. He is at Big Red Blitz. We'd love to hear your list, or if you'd like to be considered for the list, shoot us a message to any of those Twitter handles, and we'll get you on the list. So, Big Red, we got to start with a guy who I've never heard of. As I just said, it's going to be people I've heard of, but he did do something notable, though. As we've got one, Charles Babbage. Have you ever heard the name Charles Babbage?
Charles Babbage, no. I've heard the name, but I don't recall where it's from.
Charles Babbage died in 1871, but he was born on December 26, 1792. He was a professor and a mathematician, and he is best known for originating the concept of a programmable computer in the 1800s. He is considered by some as the father of the computer. In the 1800s.
The developer of Dell Computers, Charles Babbage.
It's Michael Dell, I think.
Okay.
But maybe he was on staff at Apple. I don't know.
The developer of Cabbage Computers.
There you go. Oh, God, that's brilliant. A guy that I've heard his name, and he's on a famous show that I've never seen. Born on this day in 1986, one actor, Kit Harington, who played the role of Jon Snow in the television series Game of Thrones?
I thought you were going to say the voice of the car Kit from Knight Rider.
No, that's what's his name? William Daniels, right? He was also on the Doctor on St. Elsewhere.
I don't know. You remember far too much worthless shit than I do.
Yeah, William Daniels was the voice of Kit. He was on the show St. Elsewhere, and he was also one of the teachers on that kids show that I was already an adult never watched. It's a Boy Meets World. He was on that show too. Yeah, I do know weird stuff, don't I?
Yeah.
In the comic book realm, born on this day, so he's just a few months younger than me. In 1971, the guy who, in my opinion, single-handedly portrayed the absolute worst Joker in the history of America and maybe the universe, Jared Leto. Not a big fan of his act. I don't like him in anything as an actor. I hate him as a singer. I guess he's got a band too. He's terrible.
The Dallas Buyers Club, dude. He was phenomenal in the Dallas Buyers Club.
I don't remember him in Dallas Buyers Club.
He was,
maybe I didn't see it.
He was McConaughey's. That was the cross-dressing dude from Dallas Buyers Club.
Probably why I forgot about it.
Well, I mean, he was phenomenal. In both, he and McConaughey lost so much weight during that movie. It was stupid.
Yeah, because McConaughey was in another movie that he filmed concurrently, and I don't remember what it was now.
And
where he just had I do remember what it was. Wolf of Wall Street. Remember, he had a very small bit part in Wolf of Wall Street that he filmed like right at the same time he was filming, or right after, or right before Dallas Buyers Club. And he showed up in Wolf of Wall Street when I was watching it, and I'm like, why does Matthew McConaughey weigh like 140 pounds? It was really weird looking. Born on this day in 1956, comedian and actor David Sedaris. Sure, if you're familiar with his fine work, he's a pretty funny guy, though. As we continue through our list of people I'm trying to recognize, I recognize this guy, but I'm not familiar with his work. How about born on this day in 1979? I believe he was on like The Voice or some like to sing show. What's it called?
America's Got Talent.
No, well, one of those shows. Chris Daughtry.
Daughtry was on American Idol.
That's the one I was trying. I couldn't remember the name of it. I always call it the Kelly Clarkson Show.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
I love me some Kelly Clarkson, man. I would right now. Mm-hmm. Not on the air. Well, I probably would on the air. Born on this day in 1945. Huh?
Kelly Clarkson's from Burleson.
I know. We know people who know her family very well. Born on this day in 1945. I know him from the show I think it was America's Most Wanted. John Walsh.
Oh, okay. The John Walsh. Okay.
John Walsh.
I thought you were going to name somebody that he was looking for.
Oh, no. Yeah, the actual guy. Who was a big advocate for, lost children as he and his wife lost their child, Adam. And I remember that movie way back in the day. And I didn't realize as a teenager or whatever that it was his own kid that was the one that was kidnapped and murdered. But going through our list, no, I can't find any hots or any women. Maybe this is oh yeah, here you go. Oh man, this is probably gonna be my good. Born on this day in 1921, passed away October 30th, 2000. One of the greatest television personalities of all time, Big Red. Former host of The Tonight Show, one Steve Allen. The great Steve Allen. Dude was funny. You don't even know who that is, do you?
Yeah, I do, but I'm trying to picture him. I guess I'm trying to picture him on The Tonight Show. But
well, he was clearly The Tonight Show in our upbringing was Johnny Carson. He was on it before Johnny Carson. In the music world, and I know you know who this dude is. Born on this day, 1963. Drummer for Metallica, Lars Ulrich.
There you go.
And from what I hear from other drummers, he's not that great.
And
that's just what I hear. Well, aren't they all assholes?
Not everybody's an asshole. Just
I
being
think
you.
they are. Yeah, we are for sure. All right, there's your list. Charles Babbage, Kit Harington, Jared Leto, David Sedaris, Chris Daughtry, John Wall, Steve Allen, and Lars Ulrich. Would you like me to go first, Big Red?
Yes, please.
My good is going to be Steve Allen. There's no question. Steve Allen's one of my favorite television personalities. He's right up there with Milton Berle, although he may not have been hung as well as the legend of Milton Berle.
Whoa, hey now.
Because that like rumor went around for like his whole life. I remember hearing crap about how well hung Milton Berle was.
You hung out with the wrong crowd, dude.
I mean, like on TV stuff, I remember hearing stuff about that. My bad is going to be Lars Ulrich. Just not a fan of his fine work. I was never really big on Metallica. I never really got it. I mean, it's okay now. Just never a big fan. And my ugly, I mean, there's no question it's Jared Leto, right? Like, even when he's not in character, he's just butt ugly.
Well, yeah, he was also Leto was what was the
that vampire thing, right?
Yeah, that I wish Colby was here because he'd be yelling at us right now, and I can hear him yelling at us.
Morbius.
Yes. So we got a lot similar. I'm going with John Walsh as a good for all the good that he's done in the world and looking for lost kids after he lost his own and tracking down the bad folks of the world. I went with Lars Ulrich as bad because, I mean, he's the one what was the music sharing app back in the
Napster.
Yeah. Didn't he sue Napster at some point, going after all the money that they lost? And I get it. I mean, you know, they already made, I don't know.
Yeah, who cares?
Some make a whole lot more money than others. And my ugly, just because he's made himself look really ugly to make a lot of money, Jared Leto. So
wow.
I'm sorry that I picked two names that you did, but I had them written down here before you said them. So
yeah,
there you have it.
I'm sorry my list wasn't as glamorous as Colby's normally are. There was only one girl on here, and I never heard of her before. At
least I knew more of yours than I know of his.
See, and that's how we try to avoid all this crap that we don't. And I don't know. I should have asked him what site he gets his crap on, but I wouldn't have known who half of them were anyway. And then I'd had to put pictures on the screen, which is more work for me. And we all know I don't like to do more work. I try to do less work.
Work smarter, not harder.
I usually try to work harder when I'm around my women.
Well, and Johnny works.
Nah, he's never paying attention. He's always drunk anyway. Well, Big Red, let's get into a little bit of some pseudo NFL talk.
Yep.
As we lost, and I say we because I was a fan, which is weird as a Cowboys fan, but we lost a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
In one Franco Harris, and the irony of the timing.
No,
of his
absolutely,
is just maddening, right?
So Saturday would have been the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, not conception, but reception. And
maybe it's that anniversary too. We don't know.
No, it wasn't, because gestation period is 9 months. So the Immaculate Conception.
All right, look, don't get me started on Christianity and religion, because Jesus was not born in freaking December. Everybody knows that.
Anyway. So
politics. I'm sorry, religion.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. We try not to anyway. But no, absolutely. Growing up, I hated Franco Harris, but once I learned the dude and what he was about and the man that he was, everything that I've read about him is, outstanding human being, and what he did for that franchise. What can you say? I mean, thank God that game wasn't against the Cowboys, for one. It was the Steelers, which I got a lot of friends that are Steelers fans, but sorry for y'all. But that Franco Harris was a hell of a player, Hall of Famer, and an all-around good dude. And for him to pass away just before the 50th anniversary of that play is it's almost like the whole, whenever the Madden thing came out.
Yeah. But that was reversed. Like he got to be part of it, and then he passed away just a few weeks after. Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, it's just, the timing is immaculate. There's no other way to put it. And thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and I just don't really know what else to say. He broke a lot of Cowboys' hearts a lot of times. He and Swan and Stallworth and Bradshaw and just
Rocky Blyer.
If you haven't seen that 30 for 30 on Rocky Blyer,
it's amazing.
Take the time and sit down, because that's
dude's a man's man.
that is powerful. It is a powerful 30 for 30.
So yeah, for those who don't know, and you touched on it, Saturday was the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And if you don't know what that is, then I don't know what to tell you. You're not a football fan. But so the Steelers were going to they were ready to retire his number 32 during the game on Saturday, because number one, it was the 50th anniversary. Number two, they were playing the Raiders, which is the team they were playing in the game of the Immaculate Reception back in 72. And so they had it all worked out. He was going to be there with his wife and his son, Franco. And that was on Saturday. Well, he passed away on Wednesday at the age of 72, very suddenly, very unexpectedly passed away, literally less than a week before this occurred. So I still watched the game. I watched the game Saturday, the Raiders and Steelers, and I watched and man, I cannot tell you, it was the most awkward of anything I have almost ever seen on a football field, as the Rooney, the owner of the Steelers, got up there with the Franco jersey, with Franco's widow, who was, just remember, her husband of, 40 years or whatever, has just passed away days before. And now she's standing on a football field where he was supposed to be.
Yep.
And then their son, Franco, was on the other side of Rooney. And Rooney handled it very, very well. He got up there. I was like, man, how are they going to spin this? How are they going to play it? But he got up there, and the first words out of his mouth to the, 60,000 people in the stadium who were cheering, "This is not how it was supposed to be."
Nope, it's not how it was written.
And I thought, man, you couldn't have opened it better than that. He goes, "The big guy was supposed to be standing right here with us." And he just handled it really well, but it was still very awkward as he held up the jersey and presented it to his widow and to Franco Jr. And, it was very short. They didn't prolong. I'm sure if Franco would have been there, he'd have given a speech and they'd have had all this, these accolades and whatever. But, dude, it was very subdued, and just here's the jersey. They hugged, and she, of course, just lost it, man. His widow just lost it. His son lost it. I mean, there probably wasn't a dry eye in the house. And then they said, it was on NFL Network, and then they said, let's watch this video presentation, and for, retrospect of the career of our lost soul, Franco Harris.
Yep.
And then fucking NFL Network went to commercial. We didn't even get to see it on TV. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, at some point, the networks had to figure out when to make money and when to let people see the things that they need to see in the world, and just do the right thing, because there was a whole lot more people that wanted to see what was going on with the Harris family and how they were and what was being said than, I don't know, a beer commercial or something.
Right.
So
let me throw some of his accolades here. 4-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 9 MVP, 1972 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, NFL Man of the Year in 1976, since been named to the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year in 1999. They renamed it in his honor. First team All-Pro in 77, 2-time second team All-Pro 72-75, 9-time Pro Bowler.
There you go.
Pro Bowler from 72 to 80. This is why I don't give eulogies. NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 1976. He's on the 1970s NFL All-Decade team. He's, of course, on the Steelers All-Time team in the Stingers, the Steelers Ring of Honor. Now his jersey number 32 is retired, and, of course, he is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. 12,120 career rushing yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry in the 70s, dude. Well, into the 80s. 91 touchdowns, 307 career catches. Dude could catch the ball out of the backfield.
It's a lot for running backs in those days. I think I'd like to do some research, and sorry I didn't, but I would like to do some research and see where he's stacked up on running backs of his era catching the ball out of the backfield, because he could do it, and they did it often, and it's a part of the game that didn't exist. That's why football is generational, because the game of football has changed, unlike some other games that we love to watch, but the game of football has changed more in our lifetime than I think any other sport has.
He is still number 15 on the NFL all-time rushing leader list with 12,120 yards, and there's only one player in front of him that hasn't played since him. So number 11, you have Jim Brown, who, by the way, is less than 200 yards in front of him at number 11. Every player in front of him has played since him, which, just goes to show at the time of his retirement, he was number 2 at 12,120 yards. Marcus Allen, Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, of course, Tony Dorsett, Dickerson, Bettis Tomlinson, Curtis Martin, Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, Frank Gore, Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, all of in front of him. And that's pretty good company, even for a guy that played in his era. And I will tell you, do you remember, because we're old enough to remember this, his final season, he didn't finish his career with the Steelers, right?
No, I didn't think he did, but I cannot remember who he was with.
He played for the Seahawks in 1984, his final season, and I can remember this.
So he did the same thing that Tony did, the same thing that Emmitt did.
Same thing that Emmitt did, yeah, and I liken it more to Emmitt, because I think, yeah, you're right, though. Tony's right along the same lines. Tony was, well, I guess Emmitt was. Well, they all had to be traded because there wasn't free agency yet.
We're on the first name basis. We have to share the same last name, so
that's right.
I'm Lance and he's Tony. So
you and your cousin Dorsett.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I can remember seeing him playing for Seattle. At the time, I guess I was 13, 14 years old. So, there was no social media. I didn't really read the paper a lot back then, other than baseball box scores, which I did religiously back then. I can remember thinking how weird it was that, why is Franco Harris playing for the Seahawks? Like, I just didn't get it. I just thought it was weird.
Yep.
And it was weird. Also, let me throw something else at you that may tell me if this takes away all of the great things that you think about him. And we'll end the segment with this before we go to break. Big Red. Oh, wait, I got to look you in the eye as I say this. Did you know not only was Franco Harris a Democrat, but he voted for Obama? Are you okay with that?
I'm perfectly fine with that. That's why we go to war. That's why we have the
I just want to make sure
parties that we have. People get to go and do what they want, because guys like me and guys like the guys that are there, the guys that haven't been home for Christmas because they're on the front lines. That's the reason people do what they do, and that's what makes this country great. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because we're not going to go off any deeper on that rabbit hole.
You can tell me what you really think off the air if you want. I might record it, though. You never know.
Nope. Nothing bad about it. I have friends on both sides of the aisle, so
all right. I really thought I could draw you off sides a little bit. I'm proud of you, man.
Dude, yeah, your snap count is not strong enough. It's not going to work.
I don't have the hard count like Peyton had, man. I don't have that. I tried. All right, we are the Drunk Sports Podcast, the OG Drunk Sports Podcast. I am IndyCar Tim from the DSP Media Podcast Fan Stream Sports Studios in sunny North Dallas. It's not sunny right now, but it was earlier. North Dallas. Big Red is live from the Dugout Bar and Grill up in Monroe City, Missouri. And Big Red, you are taking off, correct?
You know what? If I may sit on this for this first segment. This first segment that you got with
all right.
You got somebody sitting off in the wings, and
yeah, we're gonna bring Gary. We're gonna bring Gary, one of those bottom line sports talk boys, with us after the break here.
I may want to sit in here and rib him a little bit, and I do want to be a part of this this discussion, talking about Denver and the garbage that's going on there at quarterback.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Big Red will be back with us at least for the next segment on the other side. I am IndyCar Tim. He is Big Red. Gary Jackson from Bottom Line Sports Talk is waiting for us in the green room. We're going to talk some NFL coming up next. First, we got to pay some bills. We'll be back after this.
Hello, sports fans. FanStream Sports.
Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan, but he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com.
Hello, sports fans. FanStream Sports.
Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan, but he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policy today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashland Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more Fan Stream Sports.
Welcome back to the Drunk Sports Podcast, live from the DSP Media Fan Stream Sports Studios in North Dallas. I'm IndyCar Tim. Big Red will be here momentarily. I'd like to welcome into the show, as we do occasionally, Mr. Gary Jackson, who can be heard normally Tuesday nights, 7 to whenever they decide to stop, right here on the network on the Bottom Line Sports Talk with his brother Kerry and me kind of in here in the fish tank twisting and tweaking and making fun of the stuff they do.
I remember when our shows used to go from, we would start and then we would just, I don't know, get tired or drunk and finally hit the button and quit.
So we used to start like at 9 o'clock when we were doing it in the garage, like on a Sunday. So we started on a Sunday at 9 o'clock is when we would start. And dude, there were some days we didn't push that end record button until like after midnight.
It's a lot of quality content.
And that was, well, I don't know about that. It was more about quantity than quality back then. Not like now.
We figured if we do 3.5 hours, we could find 25 minutes worth of listenable shit in there, and it would work.
But that would have required editing, which I didn't know how to do back then.
We just didn't. Well, especially on the equipment that we started with, on top of the trash can.
Yeah,
Oh,
we had like $8 Amazon microphones, and I don't know, we didn't even have headsets, I don't think. But
no, we didn't have headsets because we just had mics.
Yeah,
and then my wife was sticking headsets in her little earbuds in her ears and dropping the
plug in a beer bottle or empty beer bottle
and pretending like she was on the show next to us. Yeah,
man, there was a lot of drinking that went on back then. Gary, you guys don't even know.
I mean, I believe it. I've seen you somewhat in action, so I believe it.
Well, you go back and find them, and if you can find the first videoed podcast, and there's probably some pictures of 1, 2, and 3. It was rough, and I tell you, Monday was the worst for me because I was driving to downtown Dallas from Little Elm, and that's a 45-minute commute without traffic, and bad.
Good times.
Good times. Sound like a good time.
Yeah, I'll tomorrow night when we're at the studio, I'll play an episode or two and kind of let you in on some of those drunk sports days back in the day.
We need some inspiration.
We're Tim and I are both talking in cursive. I mean, you can't understand anything either one of us coming out of our mouth, but we remember our conversation, so it's funny to us. But yeah, not everybody. It wasn't very good programming. So
it really wasn't. But hey, here we are now, though. We're here, boys. Let's talk a little NFL real quick. I know Big Red's chomping at the bit here to talk about the LA Rams / Denver Broncos fiasco from last night. And before we get going on this too much about Denver and Hackett and Wilson, let me remind everybody. I said Baker Mayfield is a future Hall of Famer.
Oh my God.
And he's finally getting his shot in Los Angeles.
Still no, but
he may force Matthew Stafford into retirement.
He could
right now.
He could. He could at least force Matthew Stafford out of a job, and Stafford ought to be a little bit worried with what the work that Baker has done in the last 3 games. It's pretty impressive because that team has rallied around him in a way that they have not rallied around anybody else all year long, and it's pretty damn crazy that young dude. And I kind of miss his insurance commercials or whatever those commercials were.
Yeah, Progressive Insurance. Yeah.
But
I mean, I went out and got Progressive Insurance just because he was doing commercials.
Well, I'll tell you this.
They were really expensive.
If he goes and starts doing SoFi commercials, that's a whole lot better house he's living in Cleveland. So,
how great would that be?
That'd be great.
Good
on
the one-time walk-on quarterback who became a Heisman Trophy winner and the #1 draft pick. Good on him.
And you know what? If he can resurrect his career after Cleveland, then he's done something about 50 other quarterbacks in this century haven't been able to do.
Never,
because they have all died in Cleveland.
Yeah, go to Cleveland.
Place where everybody goes and die.
I mean, what's Tim Couch doing right now? Sitting on somebody's couch, probably. Brady Quinn. God, I can't even name any other.
Brady Quinn's in a studio somewhere talking football.
He's terrible too, by the way.
He's an expert, Tim.
I'm an expert. I'm an expert about how to part my hair. Right in the middle. I part it in the middle every week.
Tim and I have the same part.
So boys, Rams, Broncos last night. The Rams, like from the get-go, dressed down the Broncos. It wasn't that score 51-14. I think it was worse than that, to be honest with you. The Broncos could get nothing going. Russell Wilson looks like he forgot how to play football, and he's looked like it all year long. Nathaniel Hackett never looked like he knew how to coach football. And you know what? A lot of coaches struggle at clock management, but when they do, and you know what? McCarthy is admittedly one of these. He goes out and finds somebody to help him with clock management on his staff. You know, hey, man, and this just help me whisper something in my ear if I'm not paying attention to something. And that's what a good coach does. He delegates, right? Yep. And I'm not saying McCarthy is the greatest coach of all time, but he is a good coach. He is one of the better coaches in the NFL. Nathaniel Hackett, and God bless his daddy Paul, because I loved his daddy Paul when he was offensive coordinator for 2 years here in Dallas in the late 80s. I always thought his dad was a good coordinator, never a good head coach. I don't know if Paul I don't think he ever had a head coaching job, but Paul Hackett was a great coordinator, kind of like we'll call him a modern day North Turner. North Turner was an outstanding coordinator.
Yep. Never
Never figured it out head coaching in a number of stops. And you know what? Nathaniel Hackett might be one of those guys, and that's okay. But good God, as he gets fired today, how did he even last 15 weeks?
Okay, but
that's
so,
my question.
Yeah, how does he make it that long? But somebody has to take the fall for the farce that has been Russell Wilson as a quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Because, dude, he got his money, and now his give a shit bucket is empty, like the last beer can I just handed off. It's gone. And I mean, how can you go from being a perennial All-Pro, a perennial Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl MVP, and just nothing? There's nothing to his game anymore. Nobody's scared of him. What has Sierra done to him? I don't understand. And I'm surprised I remembered her name, but I do. But it's one of the absolute most piss poor performances of a quarterback, of a multi-million-dollar quarterback, a franchise quarterback that I've ever seen, and I don't understand it. And so I need somebody on this show to give me an answer. What the hell has happened to Danger Russ? Because Danger Russ is no longer dangerous. He's
Laugh-a-Russ.
Yes. Please, somebody tell me.
I think I got an answer for you, Big Red.
All right, baby.
It's a simple answer. Pete Carroll was right. Pete Carroll was right. He should have stayed there, been a minimalist, let them run the ball, let the offense run the ball. You sit up here and make certain plays. Like, Pete Carroll looks right. And it's Denver relied on him to be what he said he was going to be. Big arm quarterback, I can get it all done no matter my height. I can do what I did in Seattle, do it here in Denver. And actually, he has no excuse. The defense is better in Denver. Receiver, kind of whatever, but it's something that's built around him. It's like, all you got to do is be decent. Give me 17 points a game, and we could probably win. Like, that's something I can say. Pete Carroll seems to be right.
Well, and that scares me even more because I've never been a Pete Carroll fan, even back when he was at USC. The gum chewing 70-year-old on the sideline now. It scares me to say this, but I was wrong all along. That dude is really that good, and he knows his players, and he knows his personnel, and he knows what he's got, and he's shown everybody. Yeah, let's trade him off. And they got draft picks, they got players, and God bless Geno Smith, dude.
Man, there is nobody laughing harder right now.
Been in the league for 10 years. He made a Pro Bowl. God bless Geno Smith.
We've never seen anything like that happen either. To where you pass off into the shadows, come back and have this type of year. Never seen that.
And he's struggling now, but I mean a little bit. Seattle's struggling a little bit, but I mean he's had a year. He's going to go to the Pro Bowl. It's not the same Pro Bowl that we've always seen. We're gonna figure out what the hell all that means later on.
The Pro Bowl games is what it is.
It's a bigger joke now than it was then, but he's still been named to the Pro Bowl, which is something for anybody to aspire to that plays in the NFL.
Probably got a big fat bonus check coming too for that.
What was it? $500,000, I think.
I'd take that.
I think it was a $500,000.
Going to Vegas for a weekend,
yeah. So I mean,
not Vegas.
No, they're in Vegas. That's where it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the games are in Vegas.
Yeah, the games, Pro Bowl games. So yeah, look at this. For 10 years, through all of the success that Russell Wilson had, won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl, putting up just ridiculous numbers in Pete Carroll's system. And everybody said, man, Pete Carroll's holding Russell Wilson back. He's holding him back. Just let Russell cook. Let Russell cook. Well, now look what Russell is cooking, and he's burning everything in the kitchen. He's burning himself. He's burning his career.
To take great words from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's mouth, do you smell what he's cooking? Well,
everybody's smelling it.
Everybody's smelling it.
It is terrible.
But you know what the situation in Denver is, right?
It's on national TV on a weekly basis.
So this ownership group in Denver is new. This is the daughter of Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. Her little ownership group owns the team. They bought the team after the Russell Wilson deal was made. That's part of the reason the Bolin family went out and made this move, thinking it was going to make the team more attractive now that they have their franchise quarterback. So the Walton family came in, or whatever her married last name is, lucky dude, came in. He was already there. So this isn't the current ownership group, but here's the thing.
They doubled down.
The GM is still there. George Patton, not General George Patton, because God knows he wouldn't have made that trade. George Patton, the GM in Denver, is still there.
He'd be there slapping people with gloves and shit.
And if that dude survives this, and so he claims that his job is safe. Well, of course he does. The new ownership group has probably said, yeah, well, you know what? We'll look at it, because the ownership has come out and said we are going to reevaluate every aspect of this football team, from the front office to the place kicker.
That is,
and you know what? That includes him.
That includes him. Domino to fall, guaranteed. He's the one whose head is on the pike for that trade. He's the next domino to fall, and he probably should have been the first one to give Hackett to the end of the year, to give the team some continuity to going through, because the GM's job is pretty much done now. You should have gotten rid of him then, let his head roll down the damn street, let everybody kick it like they want to, get him gone, let Hackett finish the year off as the head coach to give the team some continuity, make it, you know what, put Rippon in. Rippon ain't no worse.
Brett's a good dude, man.
He can't be any worse.
No, he didn't do any damn worse than Russ did.
I mean, his uncle won a Super Bowl. All right, give him that. His uncle won a Super Bowl. Let him play. All right.
You give him credit for his uncle winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, he got to pick who his uncle is, didn't you?
No.
You get to pick who your uncle is when you were born?
I'm going to pick one of my uncles.
None of my nieces or nephews got to pick theirs.
Oh, all my nieces and nephews picked me. They just didn't know any better at the time.
Are you already drunk? They tell you that?
Yeah.
That's why I'm drunkle.
Drunk uncle.
I'm like an uncle. I'm just more fun.
Big red.
Yeah. So if Patton,
it got to roll next though. It should have rolled first, but it got to roll.
Yes, absolutely should have.
I agree 100%.
Gary, you can be on my show anytime, baby. Hey. You agree with me. You don't argue with me.
Hey, you know what? Gary and I agreed early in the season, too, that Geno Smith probably is going to be MVP if he would have kept that pace up, which he didn't, which is okay. I don't know that anybody expected him to. He's still having a great season, and good for him. I've never been a Seattle Seahawks fan since the early to mid-'80s. And definitely not since they changed uniforms to whatever the crap that vomit is they wear now with that neon day glow green, yellow, whatever it is. By the way, did you hear about what they're doing next year with their uniforms?
I heard. I forgot though. What was it?
They're going back to the dark blue and the silver.
Oh, I liked it.
The original. Now I'm sure they're keeping, the new logo, because the logo's tweaked a little bit too when they did all that, made it looking a little bit meaner on the Seahawk part of it. But they're going back to the original uniforms, and man, I can't wait for that. Those uniforms were great. I wish Tampa Bay'd go back to their creamsicle orange, and I wish the Houston Texans would go back to Houston Oiler baby blue, whatever they called that.
If Houston Texans went back to that, I would probably be a fan of theirs just because I love the uniform.
They need to be called the Oilers again too. That'd be so
it probably
great.
make them better.
But the Titans still own the name Oilers. They can't do that.
Yeah, but you're not going to bring back Dan Pastorini, Earl Campbell,
Kenny Stabler,
or Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Yep. Kenny Stabler was there. Bum Phillips coaching.
Yep. O.A. Bum Phillips.
By the way, Archie Manning coached a year in Houston. Crazy enough.
Really?
That was when Bum was there, because that was his coach in New Orleans.
Nolans.
Or as what's his face on TV says, New Orleans. New Orleans. Like, that's not how you say
Who
it.
the hell talks like that?
What's his name that does with Chris Collinsworth on NBC? Al Michaels says that. New Orleans.
Well, there you
ABC.
And he graded everything, I guess.
Yeah. So Carolina, I don't know what's happened to Detroit as they went 1-6 to start the season and then they went 6-1, and then they just got dismantled by a Carolina team that may win the NFC South. Sorry, Gary. It could happen. Although that Tampa Bay win last night helped things quite a bit.
Gary didn't go get a fade, so he didn't wear a hat.
I got a haircut tomorrow.
Before the show or during the show?
During the show. That's the only way to do it.
Bring her up here, man. We'll have a topless haircut for you. Oh, Jason Starkey has to chime in with the Houston quarterbacks and go Warren Moon.
Oh, I thought that was understood. That's why I didn't see it.
We don't talk about Warren Moon. He's a wife beater.
Like the shirt? Or like in actual real life?
I mean, he got arrested and everything. I mean, I don't care. It's our show. We can talk about whoever we want. I just think Warren Moon's badass. He was a Edmonton Eskimo in the CFL, one of my favorite teams. He won a Grey Cup.
I'm about to say he won a Grey Cup. That's all I care about.
That's all that matters. By the way, Gray with an A, because I had people on my social media talking about the Grey Cup, and they kept spelling it with an E. I'm like, no.
So was Warren Moon Matty Ice before Matty Ice was Matty Ice?
Dude, Matty Ice can't hold Warren Moon's jock strap, dude.
No, I get that. But Warren Moon was he not the quarterback? Warren Moon the quarterback?
Oh yeah, as far as the come from behind victory, he was.
Yeah. So he was Matty Ice before Matty Ice was Matty Ice.
But Matty Ice has more than Warren Moon. Like he holds the what was it you telling me that Matty Ice is it the there's three different so he holds this is it four?
Four now.
Do you know what they are? I mean, it's postseason, regular season.
There's the Super Bowl. There was the one that just happened, the biggest one of all time.
Right.
There was the one overseas.
Yeah.
And there was
in Europe.
Yeah. And there was another one, and I don't remember what that
Can't remember.
was. That was you asked me that 6 beers ago, I'd have probably answered you. I can't now.
Man, I'm only like 6.
3 out of 4. That's credit.
Hey.
See, that's growth.
Hey, 75% completion percentage, baby.
Hey.
So the Carolina Panthers had 2 100-yard rushers against the Lions in the first half of that game. The Panthers were pushing for the all-time NFL single-game rushing record, which I believe is just over 400 yards. And at the half, they were like almost at 300. And then they ended the game because I don't know what they did. They ended the game with only like 340 or something. I don't remember what it was, but apparently they just quit running the ball. But man, I don't know what's happened to Detroit, but they sort of have gone back to what they looked like early in the season. I still think Jared Goff is the guy there. I still think what's his face, the coach,
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. I keep getting him and Bobby Carpenter confused for some reason.
Former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys.
Former tight end for Texas A&M.
What? Yeah, but I didn't know that you, even really cared about Texas A&M.
Okay. Pretty sure he knows that. Only went there for 9 weeks. Whatever it was. 6 to 9 weeks. But no, I still think he's the guy. I don't know. They're not completely gelled yet, I don't think, as a unit. They've got some really good talent, especially on defense. And like I said, I still think Jared Goff's the guy. Future Hall of Famer, probably Jared Goff.
Why is everybody in the Hall of Fame?
You know, because they let everybody in the Hall of Fame now. It's just what happens. Freaking Tony Romo's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Dak Prescott's going to the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
Cooper Rush is going to the Hall of Fame.
I'm now on the boat that I don't Romo's not going.
He's not. He shouldn't go. He doesn't deserve to go.
I think he should go.
You're an idiot.
We'll
have to talk about that tomorrow.
But he did some game-changing things. I don't know that he really did some game-changing things because he was more like to me, he was always Brett Favre in a different jersey on a different team, kind of the gunslinger thing, but he never won a Super Bowl. He never went really deep. And I love Tony Romo, and I'm a Tony Romo. Are
you a Romo-sexual?
I'm probably a Romo-sexual.
You're a Romo-sexual.
But no, he's not Hall of Fame material for me.
No, when I say he's going to the Hall of Fame, I mean as a commentator, not as a player. But
well, maybe if they have that. Well, let me ask you this, Big Red: does Romo get into the Cowboys Ring of Honor?
Yes.
Why?
See, so
well, you can answer that, but why do you think he does, Gary? Like based on what?
I mean, if we talk about quarterbacks over whatever span of time for the Cowboys, unless Dak screws up and gets out of the town, like that's who he's being compared to, and neither one of them have done anything.
Right
now,
they're the same quarterback.
But yeah, Ring of Honor's for Dallas, right?
No, they're not the same quarterback. Tony Romo and Dak Prescott are not the same quarterback.
Not right now, they're not the same quarterback. So I'm like, if I'm judging based off of that, it's got to be Tony, right?
I don't think either one of them get in the Ring of Honor unless Dak wins a couple of Super Bowls. He doesn't deserve it. Romo doesn't deserve a Ring of Honor.
I feel like if Dak win one, he gonna go in.
Maybe
badly,
and that'd probably be okay.
Yeah,
probably because it was one of those draft picks that fell to him, and I mean in the supplemental and 4th round supplemental, and they just I think if Dak were to pull off the improbable and win a Super Bowl, because they're all improbable to me now. As a Cowboy fan, I'm just in that state of mind that I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop every year. I don't get excited about. I do get excited every year, and every year the other shoe drops, and I'm brokenhearted, and now I'm 600 miles away brokenhearted. So
I'm gonna give you a hug whenever we meet in person. You don't deserve to go through that.
I'm telling you, dude.
The Lions might be just as frustrating to watch for Lions fans as the Cowboys are for Cowboys fans.
Gotta be.
I was gonna say though, for the Lions, like because y'all hadn't had anything to cheer about, you shouldn't be frustrated. Like the expectations
should be used to it.
Yeah, you should be used to it. Like,
well, by that logic, so should Cowboys fans. It's only been 30 years since they won anything.
But when has Detroit actually won a Super Bowl?
Never.
Y'all actually have a reason, like.
But they won a shit ton of NFL championships before the Super Bowl was invented.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, Detroit fans haven't ever really had anything to cheer about. They have players to cheer about, but not like a chance. Like, they might make it to the playoffs, but who actually expected them to win something in the playoffs? We're now sitting here saying we hope that they go to.
But they have a coach now that I think has everybody's attention, and to be quite frank, I would love to have Dan Campbell around just because of his fire. Just like what's his name, the coach for the Eagles, Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, dude. I don't like that guy because he's the coach of the Eagles, and that's the only reason I don't like that guy. But if that guy was the coach of the Dallas Cowboys and got up on benches next to fans and went to screaming at them and high-fiving people and talking smack, I would love that from anybody. But I don't know that the Joneses will ever allow anything like that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I love Dan Campbell too. Like that's my whole thing. I love him, and I want nothing more than to see Detroit get in the playoffs, and then they build off of this. I don't agree with Tim with Jared Goff being the quarterback. I think
future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I feel like Jared Goff is in the same vein as Geno Smith in that they're just a breed.
Oh, come
no, I don't think Jared Goff will be a Hall of Famer, but he's the answer right now.
Yes.
There's nobody else that they've got.
Right now,
he had a swing there during the year this season that he looked really damn good. And it can come back. Maybe they're, great hitters go into a slump. Possible 400 hitters go into a slump during the season. Maybe he just hit a slump, and he'll figure out a way. He's good, not great, but he's the answer right now.
Oh yeah, right now. I agree with you with what you just said. He's good, not great. I don't know if they go looking this year or the following year. But I think they're going to go get somebody younger. But for right now, he's a quarterback. I
younger
agree.
than Jared Goff? He's like 14
and a half.
I don't know how old Jared Goff is. I mean, I know he's – what's he Dak's age, right? Wasn't he in the same draft as Dak?
Yeah.
So he's 28?
28.
Something like that.
I mean, he revitalized his career. That's for sure. Like going to Detroit
right.
was the best thing for him.
By the way, the Detroit Lions, 3 NFL championships in the span of 6 years in the 50s, and then they had one in 1935 as well. More successful franchise than the Cowboys. I mean, the argument could be made.
Right? That was before you were born, right?
No, wasn't he born in 1926?
Well, Big Red's older than me, so whatever you want to incriminate, that's fine.
I mean,
you had to bring that up.
He looked younger.
A man can't have a joke.
Big Red's like 10 years older than me. I mean, it's like by a long way. It's not even close.
Oh, you've been waiting to say that because like me and Kieran yell at you all the time.
It's like
what? Were you born in 1964?
9.
Oh, but it was September, right? September 10th.
Yep.
Well, we'll call it a year and a half. How's that? But you're still older.
Well, you'll never catch me.
All right. Well, I don't know. Watch out. There's only one way I can catch you.
Oh man.
Not first.
I mean, you'll probably get there before I will, but I don't know.
At this rate, I will. My liver's gonna pickle and be done.
I got a pickled liver too. All right, there's your NFL talk. I don't have the stomach. I don't have the liver for Giants, Minnesota, Cincinnati, New England anymore. And Big Red's got to go because he's got to go to vote on some golf course thing that he's got to go buy. He's got to go buy another golf course.
Maybe. Why not?
All right, Big Red. Appreciate you popping on here with me and spending some time.
Love you, boys.
Big Red.
Big Red.
Gary, anytime, anywhere, baby.
Yes, sir.
Give it to me, Lance.
So my mother's going to be sore for the next week.
His mother's going to be sore for the next week. What's up, Gary? It's just us, man.
What up, Tim? How you doing, man? How you doing?
So I'm sorry, but we're out of sports to talk about.
I look forward to y'all stuff. It gives me ideas for ours.
But we got all the sports tomorrow night on Bottom Line Sports Talk with Gary and Carrie. Me sitting over here producing. That is at 7:00 Central Time on FanStream Sports, on our YouTube channel, all of our Facebook outlets, our Twitter outlets, and then later, the next day or two, on your favorite podcast app. You can hear the audio portion of it if you want. We have a lot of fun. Sometimes it goes an hour. Sometimes they just keep talking, and I can't shut them up. And you know what my favorite part of that show is?
It is all your fault why we go longer than we supposed to.
You know what my favorite part of that show is?
What's it?
The end. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew you was going to say it.
Music picks. You guys are teaching me so much about music on the Bottom Line Sports Talk. It's like I'm learning about rap and hip hop and John Cougar Mellencamp. Never heard of him until you played him last week.
Hey, we like to diversify our brain just a little bit.
That's why I'm on the show. I'm on the show because they like to diversify.
hey, I had a talk with Kerry. I said we might need to change the logo and put Tim on there somewhere.
Oh God, nobody wants to see that. But I'll tell you what I had scheduled for this segment here, and we'll get it out of the way. Then I got a bar appointment I got to get to. I think there's a girl at a bar that's waiting for me, but I don't know that for a fact. But we're gonna find out here in about an hour and a half.
Is she
Is
she tuning in right now?
God, I hope not. None of those girls know what I do for a living, man. I try to keep that pretty quiet.
You mean like the front, or you mean the real thing? Because I know what you really do for a living.
Wait, what do I do for a living? I'm a cruise director.
Yeah. Cruise director.
So speaking of cruises, Gary, have you ever thought about living on a cruise ship? Do you think you and your current situation, you're single? I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
I've only known you for like a year and a half. I didn't even know if you were married or not. Do you think in your current situation, and let's say that your job could be done remote, right? Like you, whatever. Do you think you could live on a cruise ship? Like rent a stateroom or whatever on a cruise ship and just make that work for you for a year, 2 years, whatever?
I feel like I can live on a cruise ship. I feel like I'd get fired because I wouldn't do any work, but I would love it. Yes.
I mean, I've never been on a cruise, but I hear there's lots of chicks on a cruise. Right?
That's what I'm about to say. I hadn't been on one. That's a goal, going into 2023. But I feel like that's doable. To go on a cruise for a year and a half. Like nobody would recognize you when you get back, but you had
right. So there is a dude. We find his name here in the story. I I used to know what his name was. Last name is Wells. Alan Wells, maybe, I think.
Alan Wells. That sounds familiar.
Sounds like a game show host.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like,
it's the Cruise Ship Extravaganza game show with your host, Alan Wells.
Like, I feel like he got to have a podcast or like a live stream every day. Like the whole time he on there. That's his only requirement.
Right? Oh, man, that would be great, wouldn't it? Austin Wells, there he is, of San Diego.
Okay.
Apparently, he is about to embark on the cruise ship life, and he is married.
Ooh, that's dicey.
So he is there's a boat that's being built. It's not finished yet, but apparently he and his wife are big cruise goers, whatever. He's 28, lives in San Diego. He told CNBC that he's about to make all of this happen because he thinks it's cheaper than living on shore in Southern California, and he gets to see the world. I mean, if it's cheaper than where you're living now, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, you chose to live in Southern California. Of course it's cheaper. Everything's cheaper.
I mean, and when I say Southern California, I think he's from San Diego, like not the fakes. And this drives me crazy. I don't know why people call Los Angeles Southern California. It's not. And you know what? The Bay Area is not Northern California. They're both in Central California. Stop referring them one or the other. I hate that. I've hated that my whole life.
Get it
after I learned about geography. Should have never learned about geography. So Wells purchased an apartment on the MV Narrative, which is currently being built in Croatia. It's set to sell in 2025. The math basically works out to make sense for him. He says he purchased a 12-year lease on the ship for $300,000. That comes out to about $2,100 a month. By the way, that's exactly what my rent on my house is in Little Elm. Pulling the curtain back a little bit. And he paid it all up front. So dude's apparently got money anyway.
Yeah.
By comparison, most apartments in the San Diego area cost roughly more than that.
Yep.
The ship charges an additional $2,100 a month for all-inclusive services. So he's going to get just like, I guess, if you go on a cruise. Again, I've never been on one, but I understand this is how this works. It's going to include food, drinks, alcohol, gym membership, routine healthcare checkups, onboard entertainment, and laundry. So he's looking at $4,200 a month to live an all-expenses-paid life on a cruise ship. And then he adds, well, I don't have to pay for a car. I don't have to waste time on shopping or traveling because it's all included. I don't have to waste money for gas because I don't own a car. It's all on the ship. Plus, he can work from the ship because his job is with Meta, which I guess is what they used to call Facebook. I don't really know what Meta is.
Facebook. Yeah.
He says, quote, what I'm probably most excited about is going to places that ships can only uniquely go, adding that this ship will travel to unique ecological parts of the world or beautiful dive spots that are a few miles off land or caves to dive through. The ship will do a number of overnight stays in those areas. Apparently, he's not the only person who's decided to live on a permanent vacation, as CNBC also spoke with a couple in their 50s. Now, see, that kind of makes more sense to me, right?
Yes, that makes sense.
Because you're probably retired at that point, and what's the difference between living on a cruise ship for $4 or $5 grand a month or buying a freaking $500,000 or $1 million RV and driving around the country,
You saw the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, well, why not just do an RV or, whatever, like the tiny homes.
Yeah.
People like those now. Those are hits.
Yeah.
Like your logic is to say, oh, I'm going to do a cruise ship all inclusive, go do this for that long. Like you can change locations. You can come to the South. That's what everybody else from California is doing.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? And then you know what the best part of this is? I just thought of this. You're not going to get any visitors, right?
You're not.
You're not going to have people that you hate coming over to your house, wanting to come over to watch the game. Not that I hate any of my friends. I love all my friends. But I'm talking about the people that aren't my friends that keep wanting to hang out with me. Dude, and can you imagine too, if you're single and you do this?
It's somebody different every time.
Dude, you've got a whole new inventory like every couple of weeks, right? When I say inventory, you know what I mean when I say inventory, though.
Yeah.
Plus, when they stop at the ports, dude, you can go have a different girlfriend at every port and just see her like twice a year.
Speaking of inventory from my manager days, you got to make sure that turnover ratio is going good.
You got to keep the inventory fresh.
Got to keep it fresh. But
keep the older items towards the front of the line. So they go first.
They got to go first. I guess that's my whole thing. He's married though, so it's like, are you really gonna get this full experience now? Because he's gonna watch his wife.
Maybe they live that sort of open type relationship. Yeah, that swingers life, the lifestyle, as they say.
They do say the lifestyle.
Don't ask me how I know that. Gary's like, what?
No. I was about to say, like, I'm just gonna sit here and make it look like I paused for a second, like, huh?
It looked like you were frozen for sure. You know what? I'm telling you, man. I think, and again, I've never been on a cruise. I think I could do this. Like, I would never do it married.
Not
married. I think I could do this. I think I could do this as a single dude. Right?
If you got the money for it, I feel like it makes sense if you single.
But is it really that? It's not that much money. Like this guy's doing it for $4,200 a year or a month.
Yeah, but that's compared
like your
to
job's going to pay you more than that. That's only 50 grand. Nobody makes 50 grand a year. I mean, I only make like 8 grand a year. But, 50 grand a year, dude, is nothing.
I mean,
most people make more than that, right?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. For him, it's like, are you planning on getting a divorce? Like, do you love your wife? Like,
oh, and what happens if they get divorced? Like, who gets the boat?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, are you going to move out or am I going to move out? Are you going to get the room next to me? Now we got to pay more?
No, look, that's definitely what's going to happen.
Oh, dude, that would suck.
Like, he looks like he wins in the divorce. So she's not going to let him win the divorce. She got to be on the ship with him.
I mean, do you even have to have a cell phone?
No, not really. Not unless you just really want to stay in contact and make everybody else jealous. Hey, look at me. What are you doing? Oh, look at my view.
Well, I guess, yeah, you still got a TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and tweet and all that stuff, right? You got to have
everybody knows in it. But, in terms of like keeping in contact, only those that matter.
That's funny, man. That had never occurred to me. But I mean, I know people live in hotels sometimes.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of the same if you're going to go live. But I mean, usually if you live in a hotel, you've got this suite, this massive stateroom, that's got, it's like an apartment. Your room on your cruise ship is not going to be like an apartment, dude. It's going to be, I've seen cabins.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. But I mean, if you're only hanging out there to watch TV, I mean, honestly, I would be at the bar every day, right? I mean,
but I feel like he would get bored after a while. Like, that's my only thing. You said for 3 years?
12 years.
12 years.
He signed a 12-year lease.
Yeah, he definitely done after about 3-4 years. He gonna get sick of it.
Man,
I think he went in too long.
And then you got to sublease it out, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to see that on Craigslist.
Hey,
cruise ship cabin for lease.
No. Airbnb. That's where it's at.
Airbnb it. Yeah,
that's
what if you could do that?
I feel like Airbnb. He just gave Airbnb a new. Hey, y'all can't do it Airbnb.
Wow. No, we came up. We got to do that first.
Yeah, that's definitely a great idea.
Johnny, we're gonna need an influx of capital so we can launch this venture here.
Johnny, I'm gonna write up the business plan and I'm putting Tim and my name on it.
Yeah,
front it.
we're gonna name it Gary and Tim's Business.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the name of the company, Gary and Tim's Business. Nobody knows what we do.
No, hey, that's why I say they don't know what you really do. See?
Yeah. We just need Johnny to write a check. So you have put together the run sheet for tomorrow. You want to preview anything for anybody for the Bottom Line Sports Talk tomorrow night, 7 Central?
Yeah. So we got quite a few segments. We're gonna redo some things, so we got to make sure we get with you and a couple of the great bets that we have at our disposal.
Right.
But we of course gonna talk some NFL action. I think we're gonna stay away from those Bengals and Patriots like you because nobody cares, right? But definitely got to talk about the Cowboys and whether it's underwhelming or not, whether they won, what it means for the Eagles.
Right.
We definitely some fair weather Detroit fans. The Texans won. I want to make sure I shout that out. That's a long victory. I know my brother gonna want to talk about the Saints. I really don't want to, but that's just me. So we
there are Saints rumors we can talk about.
I was about to say that's what I was gonna ask you. So rumors, that's what we need to do.
We can talk about the rumor about their new head coach, their new old head coach.
I mean, that would make me happy, and I won't talk crap about him no more.
All right. Wait, why do you talk crap about him? He gave you a Super Bowl.
Because I'm mad he left.
Well, he left to better his life.
No, he left us in a worse position.
Oh, they knew he was leaving. They had plenty of time to get their house in order. They just didn't. That's on the ownership group.
You are right. I do blame it on ownership because I wouldn't have hired Dennis Allen. That's just me. But
I feel like they took the easy way out when they did all that, right?
It is called the Big Easy.
It is called the Big Easy. I mean, I'd be distracted. I'm distracted by the French Quarter.
Hey, it's something to be distracted by. Definitely going to talk about the NBA. I don't know if you watched any games. That was definitely going to talk about some NBA. We're gonna include the Dirk statue. You don't like Dirk?
No, I like Dirk.
Well, they revealed the statue. We want to make sure we.
Yeah, and you know what? The statue's way better than what they said it was going to be. I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't what they debuted and the model and everything. Okay, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
that'll be fine.
Yeah, a couple teams talk about them. Not really, because I'm like you right now. It's too early for NBA action to sit there and deep dive into it. I don't know why people do it. Like it's not plenty of games that don't matter.
Right.
So I got to make sure I keep my brother's expectations low. Otherwise, he'll sit there and go into it.
I'm putting a time limit on the run sheet tomorrow too.
No, that's what I'm about to say. That's
we're gonna be on time.
That's what I need to do. We need to make sure we do that.
If we promise the people an hour, so we can't go an hour 47 minutes because then they're gonna be late to whatever they were doing.
That's how we find out who the real fans are, though. Thank y'all for tuning in so far.
By the way, we got live audio from Carrie.
Oh snap!
You want to be a rock star?
No, I do not. Well, I like Nickelback.
And by the way, I'm playing, and I'll preview this with you because he's not here. I'm going to surprise him on our music picks tomorrow night. I've got a Nickelback song to play.
Oh God! Is it one that we like? Is one we probably hadn't heard?
I don't know which ones he like. I don't think he's ever heard it. It's probably their most famous song.
Okay.
But I don't think he never talks about it, so I don't know if he's ever heard it.
He probably don't. Like he probably listened to the album, but like just because he didn't remember some of the stuff, he didn't remember Rockstar when we talked about it.
I know.
So yeah, I'm like, you don't even remember the best song, arguably for them. Now, he loved to play that invisible bass or air guitar, whichever one, because I don't think he knows which one it is.
It's a cross between. It's like a ukulele bass thing that he just sort of. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but he has fun doing, and he looks cool doing it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6'4" dude sitting there trying to strum something invisible. It's great.
Strum an invisible instrument in front of a microphone. All right. I've been accused of worse things. It is what it is.
I have to.
All right. Well, everybody join us again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central right here on whatever you're watching. If you're watching us now on YouTube, several Facebook outlets, my personal Facebook, the DSP Media, FanStream Sports Facebook group. Need to get y'all's Facebook stuff so we can put it out there on your Facebook stuff too, live when we do your show. I can connect that to our stream here. But we'll do that tomorrow at 7 from here at the FanStream Sports Studios in North Dallas. It'll be me and Gary and Carrie. We'll talk about all of that. And don't miss the end of the show when we do the music picks because that's a good time.
That's a great time.
And if you've got suggestions for music picks, what's y'all's email address, Gary?
It is BL Sports Talk, sports with it is, @gmail.com.
So reach out to Gary, or you can find me, IndyCarTim@gmail.com, and give us some recommendations for music picks. And if we use one of y'all's songs on the air, we'll make sure to shout you out and let you know, let everybody know where that came from. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate you joining us. Sorry, it was kind of a short half here. Gary, I had news and notes, but I didn't prep for it because I didn't really care because Colby's not here and I don't have to.
Because Colby's not there.
Yeah, you can't make me.
That's the attitude right there.
But we got 2 hours probably tomorrow together. We'll have a good time doing it right here in the studio. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight for the Drunk Sports Podcast. For Colby, who's not here, for Big Red, for FanStream Sports and DSP Media, and for Gary, I'm IndyCar Tim, and we'll see you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Drunk Sports Podcast. Join us next time for a lot more alcohol and more drunk sports talk. Here's to you.
This is the funnest night ever.
We're all drunk.
God damn it, Griggs.
Shut up, Tim. We're not talking about my mother.
Shots fired. Shots fired.